my friends. Welcome to Sort of Brilliant, a show where the characters are made up and Hogwarts house sorting absolutely does matter. My name is Rachel.
And I'm her best friend and co-host, Lauren. Every other week, we're going to invade a fandom and determine whether your favorite character belongs in Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin. There's bound to be some arguments along the way.
But in the end, we're always right.
Well, according to us.
According to us. Hello. Welcome back to another installment of Sob Pod. Today we have a very, very special episode. Not only have we dived back into the world of Marvel, and who could blame us with Disney Plus giving
They
us
release
all
things every 2 seconds.
content. Yeah. They're like, what do Lauren and Rachel need to sort next? Here we go. And we're like, yes. But this one is a really fun one because for the first time in Sob Pod history, we've got 3 people in the same house.
Yeah, full house, all house.
Full house. All house.
Full house, all
Now,
house.
is a full house all 4 houses, or is a full house just...
Our friend
We
Haley
make up
would
the
say a full
vocabulary.
house is all 4 houses, and I would agree with her, but
Me too.
then you could also say, isn't like all 4 houses a full castle?
Oh, I don't play cards. I don't know.
Cards. What are you talking about?
You weren't just talking about cards?
No, I was talking like Hogwarts is a castle.
Oh, I thought you meant like when you make a castle in poker or some fucking move that I'm unfamiliar with. I don't know. When you make a castle in... Hold on. What the fuck are you talking about?
Confidence. Oh, I don't play cards.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I zoned out.
Oh my God. I was being clever. If you have all 4 houses, it makes Hogwarts, right? So all 4 houses.
But what are you talking about with the castle?
All 4 houses is a castle.
Okay.
So if you have somebody from each house, you would call that a castle. But if you have 3 characters in the same house, it makes a full house.
This is confusing.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna call it a full house.
It's too close to math.
What if you just call it a full set?
I mean, you can, but then a full set makes Hogwarts. I don't know how you're not understanding this.
It's not that I don't understand, it's that I don't like it.
Oh my God,
So
it's a metaphor. I'm sorry that my metaphor is not highbrow enough for you.
That's correct. We're very classy here. So this is really exciting though, because, well, actually, we're not sticking with the same show or the same movie the whole way through either.
This is only one show. We are SOB.
No, I mean, we're not
We're just
sticking
going to
with the
break
same...
into a game of Bed, Wed, Behead in the middle.
I'm saying, usually...
Why are Meg and Carla here?
I'm saying, usually we have an episode about one television show or one movie at a time. And this time, there's an amalgamation.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, first of all, when we were discussing it, it was always obvious to us that these characters, that at least the 2 we knew before, were Slytherins. And then when it was like told to us that all these things are coming out at the same time, it's like, hey, let's just have a Slytherin Extravaganza.
Nobody will be confused by Loki and Nat being sorted together. It's fine. It's fine.
I don't see why you would.
They're
They're
in a movie
besties.
together. Yeah. They had a whole 5-minute conversation.
As someone who really struggles with remembering Marvel stuff, like the lore or just the plot because I'm dumb, I really, really like hardcore remember Nat and Loki's scene. Like, it's a standout to me from the Avengers.
Yeah.
It's a real, like,
yeah.
We'll get into it.
The way that Tom Hiddleston says, "You meowling quim," I'm like,
oh my
okay.
God.
What is that?
The way Scarlett plays it with the like doe eyes and then the shift into the smirk. Yeah, that sticks out in my head for sure. So of course it does. They're 2 powerhouse Slytherins. They're 2 really, really interesting characters. And now we've got Sylvie.
Woo!
So let's talk a little bit
Super
about...
interesting, philosophical
That's
question
what I was
that
gearing up
Rachel
towards.
was like, oh, okay. Because when I spoke to Rachel about this, she was like, you don't have to logically explain to people why this works, Lauren. It just is, and they can all shut up. I was like,
yeah, I feel that way still, but I know you're going to still logically explain it,
No, I don't have to so much on this one. I will have to on Doctor Who. But we've talked a little before, I think it was with Nerds, about characters who are different versions of themselves and how they're still the same house, because I feel at least that like, yes, memories and experiences can help with your house, but I feel like people who have the same mindset and, just what I don't even know what you like, the same soul? I don't know what you would call it.
Mm.
But like people who have the same essence, have the same mindset and the same shape of why they do things. So even though they may do things differently, they're still ultimately doing them for the same reason or in the same vein. So should also make clear right now that Sylvie and Loki are not at all the same type of Slytherin or the same type of person, but they are both Slytherin. So
Is it not just the same brain with different life experiences?
yeah, I guess. I mean, because it's like, and this is all made up science. So,
Of
like,
course.
but,
So is sorting. This is what we're here
No,
for.
I know. Sorting's made up science, and then having a variant of yourself is a made up science. Supposedly, we don't know yet. But like, yeah, I don't want to like completely dismiss memories and experiences as things that help you decide what motivates you. But I still feel like even if two people who like Sylvie and Loki are the same person, with completely different memories and experiences. Sylvie knew she was adopted, Loki didn't. Sylvie had a loving family and very clearly wanted to grow up to be a Valkyrie or a good guy, and Loki was very at that age from the flashback in the first Thor into the fact that he was going to rule something one day.
Mm.
So like even though they're very different people, I still think the core shape of who they are, untouched by memory, experience, blah, 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 external factors, I still think that even though they became different people, that core shape that helps you, why am I motivated by this? Why am I doing this? Is
That's just
still
your
the
brain.
same. Yeah, I know, but I guess that's what I'm saying, that
Yeah.
their mindset at its core, like it could work differently and come to different conclusions, but they're still doing things for
It's
the
the same
same
thing.
core
Yeah.
reason. Yeah.
It's very like what we've talked about this. It's like it's supernatural. You have different versions of the characters throughout like the entirety of it. And there's no way that say Dean Winchester in like this one episode, what's it called? I don't know
It's a
episode
Terrible
names.
Life.
It's yeah. He's raised differently. He ends up in a different job. He's a different kind of guy. He's like really into health and his work, and it's very different from the Dean Winchester we know. But at the end of it, he still ends up acting the same fucking way that Dean Winchester would in his
Right.
reality.
If you
It's the
present
same
him
brain.
with the same exact situation that Dean Winchester always faces, he acted for the same reasons.
Right.
And obviously we get to see this way more obviously with Sylvie and Loki because they're presented with the same problem at the exact same time. And even though they react differently, they act for the same reason.
Yeah.
So,
Well, multiverse. It's gonna be
phase
gonna be
4.
fun.
Here we go.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sad that we don't have more Nat, to my
Me
knowledge. I mean,
too.
it'd
I'm
be
bummed.
cool if
They did
like
the movie
my,
and they were like, "See how awesome she is? She's dead."
I know, and
like,
I honestly like everyone has favorites from the MCU, and Nat is like she's awesome. I think
Mhm.
most of them, honestly, I love most of them, and I love her. I always liked her, but I didn't really connect with her like as a fave.
Mhm.
And this movie like shot her up on my
Yeah.
list. I was like, God, she's so fucking cool.
Mhm.
Like, it was so good. I
Mhm.
understood her so much more, and like, the Nat stands out there. You deserve so much more. You
Biggest
saw it from the
compliment
beginning.
Rachel gave me is she finished watching the movie and she was like, "You're a Natasha Slytherin or
Oh, yeah.
Natasha's a Lauren Slytherin." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god." I like yelled at her because I was like, "I'm mad that you saw it."
Yeah, no,
But
no.
it's such a good
talk.
compliment.
We'll talk about it when we get to Nat. But where to begin?
Sylvie's got the least amount of content, so
That's true.
yeah.
But what a very clear Slytherin from
There
the
were
jump.
2 seconds that I gave her because we only really started to get to know her in episode 3 when
Right.
she's running around Lamentus with Loki. And she starts like probing him, like, "What kind of Loki are you?" Basically, like asking
Mm-hmm.
him about himself. And there were 2 seconds at the beginning of the episode where they're walking into the town away from like all the asteroids falling on them, where they have a conversation where my brain started going, because obviously Loki's a Slytherin. I came into this.
Of
He's
course.
like the farthest right side Slytherin that we have. But I came into this like Loki's so obviously a Slytherin, and I was listening to this conversation, and I was like, is she a Slytherin just because she's a variant? And I wish I could remember exactly what she said. That made me pause and go, oh, she might be something else. And then I cannot remember what she said, but then she said something that was so, I was just like, no, never mind. I'm done with this track of thinking. She's a Slytherin.
That's listen, on lots of podcasts people come with the notes with the quotes in front of them with everything like that. But see,
It's not
with
us.
sorting, it's like you get the feeling, you get the information you need, it clicks in your brain, and then everything from there forward you're seeing through the lens of, okay, no, this is clearly
It's
a
called
Slytherin. Like,
confirmation bias, and it severely generates
Sure.
our scholarly input. But you know,
I'm totally cool with it. I'm fine with it. I as a Gryffindor, I get the feeling, and you are not talking me out of it. So I saw her, just the way she was talking. It was the way she was talking to him, the way she was holding herself, the way she was ready to slit his throat at every minute. He's like, stop trying to kill me every 30 seconds. And she's like, no. But just, and it's so different from a Gryffindor, though, right? Because a Gryffindor, like, oh, shoot first, ask questions later or whatever.
mm-hmm.
It's not like that with Sylvie at all. She's thinking the entire time.
Oh yeah, when he took the temp pad or whatever, and she's like, "Where'd you put it?" He's like, "In my heart." And she's like, "Well, then I'll cut it out." But obviously, she's not going to kill him because where the fuck did he put it? She needs it. So
Right.
like, this asshole's alive.
Yeah, just everything, even the responses that seem like overly emotional or just overly like, okay, stop trying to stab him. Like try to figure it out. She's already analyzed the situation. She already sees it for exactly what it is and has trouble trusting him the entire time. Like, I feel very strongly that she loves Loki. I don't agree with the take that like she doesn't have romantic feelings for him or affectionate feelings for him. Like, that's just not my take on it at all. But that doesn't derail her, and I feel like that's a very Slytherin thing, because if you're not in the circle, which I don't know if he would be considered in her circle at the point that we're at in the show.
Yeah, Sylvie's, the life that she's lived doesn't really allow for circles.
It doesn't, but he's close.
Yeah.
But he's not fully in. She doesn't fully trust him, and this is a problem with her. She doesn't fully trust. But how could she? Literally, how could she trust anyone except herself? Which, haha, he's herself, but really, how could she trust anyone except the version of her life that she has lived? So, and he says it at the end, you can't trust and I can't be trusted. Okay, so are we really going to blame her? Put like blame on her for her actions? I mean,
Rachel's like, I'm going to talk about this. And I was like, okay. And I figured it would be like at the end of discussing Sylvie. And she's just like, look, here's my opening about Sylvie. Here's her entire character.
It's the last thing I saw, okay? You can wrap it back around to what she does in the other episodes too. But it's like you also said, we have the least content on her. Mm-hmm. And
I've got a full page on her.
Yeah, but that's good. But I'm just saying, like, you can see that even though she has this affection for him, it's not going to derail her from whatever she needs to do. Even if it's like literally trying to kill him 30 times, she has to get to her goal. Okay? And there's that every time you Google traits of a Slytherin, ambition comes up. Technically, it's very ambitious of her to keep going for her goal and not be derailed from it.
Extremely.
So, and that is one of the I guess traits I'll give those very narrow-minded definitions of a house. Like, Slytherins are ambitious too.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean in the way that it's always portrayed, but yeah, definitely. It's always like power hungry. It doesn't have to be. Yeah.
Well, unless it's Loki.
Yeah, Loki's a very he can be somewhat of a simple one, but like Steve Rogers, Slytherin. And it's how you view power too, like power over yourself, power over like what is power to you? Very philosophical.
Well, and the whole thing with Sylvie is that she's trying to take power back.
She's been
the entire time she's without power.
Yeah, I have her only goal her entire life is, and Rachel and I were discussing this too, this wording of it being revenge on the TVA, which I was trying to explain to Rachel that I think that's probably how she views it and how she explains it to herself, like, let's get back at the people that stole my free will or whatever. But I also so all three of these people that we're going to talk about are self-involved in some way, which is also very important to be a Slytherin. Slytherins are self-centric to whatever. Well, it has to be to a somewhat higher up on the list degree, and then in whatever way too. And Sylvie is self-involved in the sense that she needs to protect herself. She's been running her entire life. So I don't know if I like the wording revenge because it was literally the only out that she saw. Like she could not stop running. And then that isn't to say that she knew what she was going to do afterwards. She just knew that she wouldn't have to run from the TVA anymore if she took it down. So that was definitely her end goal, and she worked for it for like thousands and thousands and thousands of years. She said that she didn't even remember her parents anymore, which for an Asgardian sounds like a long ass time. And actually, in the last episode, she had said that she was pruned before Loki was even born, and Loki is like a couple thousand years old. So she's been going for a while.
Yeah, you can't put the same like you can't judge characters like this, I feel, with the same you can't paint them with the same brush you would like a regular human character. She's lived a very long time and she's had one goal the entire time because what else is she going to have besides this goal? Her life has been completely stolen from her. She has no free will. She's on the run. And it's a thought that's sitting in your mind, boiling there for literal thousands of years. So what did you really
let's
come on.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's walk this back a little because so much can be attributed to that last that last choice and instance.
I know. Whatever. You know what? I'm harping on it because I'm reading articles about it and I'm seeing it in the fandom.
I know. I'm looking at all my notes though, and like a lot of them are attributed to that. There's just a couple.
No, let's walk it back.
General stuff that came before. Well, I had so we talk about how in order to reach their end goal, Slytherins have to be fairly adaptable and flexible. Because if you have a rigid plan, it's less likely that you're going to get there. Maybe not because you're stubborn, but some things don't move. So you need to go around them to make it easier for yourself. Some people don't like doing that. Ravenclaws. And
usually it's the Slytherin that doesn't move. Jeez,
no, the Slytherin moves around things. But
well, I mean, when you guys are set in your ways.
I know. We don't move.
You're not
when people are pushing on us. But if there's something unmovable, then like we go around it. That's the logic. I want to get there as fast as possible. Ravenclaws will stand there and be like, "How could I get through this? Like, it's fun to figure it out. Just go. Just
punch through it."
Okay, Gryffindor. But so she's open to like every single opportunity. She like stomps on Ravena's foot when she's like an 8-year-old and takes the temp pad and leaves.
Yeah.
As a kid. And then when they're in the rocks cart and Loki shows up, she's like, "This isn't about you." And then she leaves and just like lets him come with her. Like she keeps the door open. She's like, "Sure, all right. Maybe this will be helpful." When Renslayer, after Loki gets pruned and Mobius gets pruned and she's stuck in the TVA, and Renslayer's like, "Oh yeah, let me get the files for you, and I have a special spaceship that can punch through the end of time," or whatever. She's like, "This sounds stupid, but we'll stand here and listen. Like, we'll go with this. Maybe it's real. Like, whatever. It's no skin off my back. Let's see if this works." And then she prunes herself. Like, she's just open to every single. She's like, "I will figure it out." Like, it continues to be a future me problem. Somehow I'm going to get to the end, but like, I just need to get out of this immediate situation. And then I'll get there.
Who would have thought you guys are the ones who don't think it through until the end?
Well, I was just thinking that because it also sounds very Gryffindor. We were just talking about this with Han Solo, but I think it's slightly different because Han's like, "Did it kill me?" And I feel like there is at least some logic in a Slytherin, like, you know.
No, there's way more logic because for Gryffindor it is very like
And
But
there's
did I
always
die?
and there's always that self-preservation. Like,
Yeah, because the
I am
Slytherin's
staying
not planning
alive in
on dying.
order.
That's the
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
It's like there's no okay, I'm gonna jump into this and like I might die. It's like I'm gonna go around it or go through it, whatever I need to do, and I'll come out the other side to handle it later. Like the Gryffindor is not thinking about what they're gonna
Right.
do later.
Right.
So there's the difference.
Right. She I don't know if I would go so far as to say like for sure she has chosen one syndrome as to the extent that we're going to talk about Loki, but she is extremely confident in her abilities. Like she taught herself
That's true.
magic. Yeah, she taught herself magic. She fucking enchanted a cloud. Like she was like I can do it. And she did it. And she wanted to be a Valkyrie, which is Thor wanted to be a Valkyrie. Like it's a huge thing. Like it's a really big deal to be a Valkyrie. And she was like, I'm going to be a Valkyrie. And then she was totally confident in Roxcart when Loki and the TVA showed up, just like stringing them along with all these people that she's enchanting while she's doing her thing in the background. Like she was not stressed at all. She was like, whatever, I'm just doing my thing. Like this isn't a hassle for me. So she's extremely confident in her own ability and her talents and herself. And then and then her attitude. I thought about this in the third episode at the end when they're trying to get off Lamentus and the escape pod like crashes and Loki like stands there in defeat and she just like turns around and leaves. She's very like her attitude is very if I decide to do it, like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
like I'm gonna do it and there's nobody that can stop me. And in logically impossible moments like the escape pod crashing, she's like she knows to like accept it. She's like, well,
That's
well,
true.
it's done. So
Yeah. Very Slytherin. All very Slytherin. Yeah, it's not at all chosen one syndrome. Not every Slytherin is guilty of it. But I do think most Slytherins are guilty of like
and if you put them in the
overconfidence
position where
in
it's
themselves.
like very if you put them in the position where you either present them with something and you're like you're the only one, like they're much more susceptible to be like you're right.
Yes.
Like I know because I'm
Because,
extremely confident in myself.
That's the thing. It's not always chosen one from the jump, but if you give it to them, that cockiness that all of you guys have to some degree, that's gonna pop out for sure. So yeah, I where else are they gonna put her? First of all, do you then going by our conversation from before, then all Loki variants are probably Slytherins, no? Because they all have the same brain
in some way, yeah.
In some way, and
like
as I'm
obviously Loki for president was an extremely basic, like Draco Malfoy, Lucius Malfoy.
I don't know that alligator crocodile whatever Loki might have been a Gryffindor with how he was lunging at people every 2 seconds. Might have been.
I don't know.
He's
even
a Slytherin too.
Like even old classic Loki, his Nexus event being like I was Thor. I was like, Jesus Christ, man! Like, have some self-respect.
The other one, I killed him. Like, all right, you little Draco. Nah, he was much cooler than Draco Malfoy. I'm gonna offend lots of people today, I guess.
Opinions are wide open.
Yeah, it's fine. We can have different opinions and still be friends.
Oh, we like touched on this a little bit earlier. She's very does not have time for the bullshit. Like
That's
she's
true.
got something to do and she's doing it, and people messing around pisses her off. And Loki's very much a mess around Slytherin, so she's like, you especially see it in Lamentus again, where she's like, I'm just gonna like punch this dude, and that's an easy way to get by him, or like I'm just gonna enchant this one, and Loki's like, I'm gonna dress up in this outfit, and then like,
drama queen.
Like, Jesus Christ.
No, she doesn't have time for any of it. I don't think any other like house tomfoolery she would put up with very much either. Like I don't know how much of Mobius she could take or anyone around her. That's just like she's so just so over it.
She would be so bad. She would be like,
yeah,
how does it serve a purpose?
Yeah, she's very like done. She's very much wants to be useful, wants other people to be useful in the situation. Like work towards the goal, or what are we doing here?
Right. It's a waste of my time.
Yes, that. She's like a scary teacher.
She can be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can be.
I've had a couple Sylvies who scarred me.
Yeah.
were not
They weren't as hot as her.
no, definitely not. And also not susceptible to my charms at all, which I hate that. But if they were as hot as her, I would have been cool with it.
Oh, she didn't interact with any Gryffindors. That would be really interesting to see.
No. She didn't. I would love to see her with Thor.
It's not a Griffin, it's a Hufflepuff.
No, I know, but I'm just thinking now, of course, yes.
Yeah, I know. He's a very different
Thor's
Hufflepuff than Mobius. Yeah. Oh,
He might
we're never gonna sort Mobius. I'm sorry. He's a Hufflepuff.
I don't care. To like mince to hide that one from you guys. Come on, he's a Hufflepuff.
Eat our words when season 2 comes out and he has some insanely intriguing story that we want to speak about.
It's still going to be a Hufflepuff story.
It's true. I guess
I'm
we
going
can
to
talk
stand
about
by
it
it.
then. Like, we can give it reasons. I don't have reasons for why he's a Hufflepuff now. I'm just like, look at him.
Listen, but again, it's the Hufflepuff Slytherin besties.
Yeah.
Friendship here going on. That's why Loki and Mobius were so great.
And he like immediately liked Sylvie and was like, she's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why I'm thinking, I think Sylvie and Thor would be awesome. I think he would appreciate her way more than Loki shenanigans.
Love her. Yes. I think Thor would love
She wanted to be a Valkyrie. He would like lose his shit. I hope they meet. That'd be cool. Who knows? What the fuck? I can tell you flat out right now, I don't understand a goddamn thing about what's going to happen next. Like, again, as is typical of me, if you've listened to any of the Marvel episodes, I'm lost. What does that ending mean? Why does Mobius not know who he is?
What did they do? To talk about this now?
You want to wait for the Loki discussion? Would that fit better there?
I don't know that it fits at all.
Well, then just quickly answer. Why? What happened? They rewrote that timeline?
King said what would happen.
Correct,
if they killed him. It's a whole timey-wimey paradox, right? It's a circle.
Yeah.
So if they kill him, he's not there to stop all the other ones. So another one won, and then it decided to do basically the same thing, but without the lie.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was sitting there like, Loki's going to go back and they're all normal and they're going to have to fight this new big bad that comes in. I didn't realize it just completely flipped. I completely rewrote it.
No, he said there are like, all the other variants of me are out there waiting and I'm holding them back. So either you have the chance to take my role and I'll go off and do my own thing, or you kill me and then all those other variants are going to have that fight again wherever it happened outside of time. And then one of them's going to win and then something else is going to happen. And it turns out that the next variant that one just decided to do basically the same thing, but not make up the lie about the timekeepers.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm the ultimate ruler. Hello.
Oh, he's going to be so cool.
He is. I'm excited for King.
He's going to be way better than Thanos.
Yeah.
Oh, man. He was so fun to watch. How about that whole, when he hurled those insults at Sylvie?
Oh,
so good.
I wrote that downward. She, it's the Slytherin thing again. Like, how are people not thinking like me? So she's like, Kang's like, yeah, I took away everybody's free will because I'm making sure that, it's like Thanos was like this too, right? He's like, guys, I'm a good guy. Like, I'm saving the resources of the planet. Like, I have to do something really awful in order to do this good thing. And Kang's kind of the same way. He's like, I have to do this really awful thing in order to make like this good thing happen. And everybody's problem with it is like, you don't get to be the one to decide or whatever.
Right.
But Sylvie's losing her mind because she was directly affected by this. Like she was pruned and, as a child and she lost her entire life, blah, blah, blah. So she's like, you're an awful fucking person and I hate you and you deserve to die for this. I love the way he snapped. He was like, grow up, Sylvie. He was like, murderer, hypocrite. Yeah, I was like, damn.
Oof. And she sat there and took it.
Yeah, she sat there and she was like, you know what? Yeah.
You're right.
But this is about me, so.
Yeah. She didn't take it to heart the way another house would. They would be like, ow, how dare you? She was like, okay, well, it stung maybe 10%. Let's move on. I'm still going to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a Slytherin boy.
All right, I have so much stuff about that end, the choice, and that whole
For
thing
sure. Well, listen,
Rachel has so much to say about this.
I just don't think it's fair the way she's being treated right now.
I agree.
By people, okay?
I agree.
I don't like it. I saw what she did. I went, oh no. respect. That was my reaction. I feel, as a Gryffindor, I would have been talked out of it.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't. She had this goal. There's this desperation behind it. There's this need behind it. And like I said before, you've got thousands of years of buildup of that. That's not going to be so easy to just be like, all right, fine. I'm finally here. He's in front of me. The goal is here. Maybe not. No, she has conviction. She's going to go through and do what she came here to do. I don't know, man. I know for Loki, it was some serious character growth. For her, maybe it's a little bit of regression, where it was a moment where she could
I don't know
grown.
if it was regression. I think it was like
Yeah,
the accumulation of her
staying-
holding. She's been holding back this
Yeah.
unhealthiness with this goal, and now she's completed it, and it turned out the way that it did, and it all just comes crashing down on her.
Yeah, I don't know what people expected from her after what happened to her and how she's been living with it for so long. I don't know. Maybe some of us weaker people would have been charmed by Tom Hiddleston pleading with us and telling us, I just want you to be okay, in that British voice that I can't do. But, you know, I sent a gift to Lauren last night of Samantha from Sex and the City just going, I love you, but I love me more. And it was very that. She was like, I still, listen, no hard feelings. We're not the same, though. And I mean, they are.
They are.
Technically.
They are.
But she's not willing to take that leap yet. That Loki did, where he can see the reason.
Yeah, I had a lot to say and thought about this a lot or whatever, because, you know, Loki's like, I'm a liar. I know he's lying. And, you know, Slytherins can usually be moved by logic fairly easily. Again, like Ravenclaws, but Ravenclaws need a lot more. I think Slytherins take a little bit of gut and instinct into it or whatever, right?
They do.
So Loki's like, I'm a liar. He's not lying. I need you to trust me. I'm you. And I was trying, when Rachel and I were discussing this last night, I had so much to say. It's like, first of all, I keep saying people saying that Sylvie betrayed Loki. And I can take a little sidebar real quick on that kiss or whatever, because also extremely Slytherin. It was manipulative, but she wasn't trying to manipulate his feelings or anything like that. Like, she wasn't trying to be like, oh, haha, I know you're into me, so I'm going to kiss you and that'll distract you. No, it was, she knew that he could get to her that way, so she did it that way. In a sense, she was protecting him. She was like, I know he's not going to give up. She's like, I know you're not going to stop, so you need to get out of here because I'm not going to stop. And all of this conversation that I had with Rachel last night, I was like, so it wasn't her betraying Loki. She felt betrayed because Loki wasn't seeing it the same way as her, and Loki is her. Like, she actually literally says, then why aren't we seeing this the same way? Like, why aren't we reacting the same way? Why are you fighting me? She did not understand. She felt betrayed, and it gets super weird and meta here. Like, what are you, who are you talking about? She felt betrayed by herself, basically. Yeah. And the issue with this is she's been going for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and she has deduced through loads of empirical evidence that she needs to bring down the TVA in order to protect herself and to be safe and to finally move on with her life or whatever. Loads of evidence. And she's gotten to the point where she can do it, and herself pops up and goes, we should probably pause and not do this.
Right. And
she feels betrayed by that. And I was also trying to explain to Rachel, she also immediately knows that Loki is right. Like, there's no way. It's the logic part of your brain. There's no way that he would have said, hey, let's think about this, if he wasn't right. And there's no way she would have reacted the way she did if she didn't know that he was right. But she was so far gone. Like, it was right there. And she has evidence. She has support. This is the only way to do it. You can't pop up and go at the very end of the line, this is not the right thing to do. When I have so much evidence that says it is, like, I can only do what I know how to do. I can't stop here. Like, I don't know that blame her at all. Like,
I don't blame her either. I don't know that how she would have a character like her. I don't know how she would be able to live with herself if she didn't go through with it, right? Because she's been gearing up for this, and of course, yes, she has all the evidence. This is the right step. This is the move that I've been training my entire life for.
Right.
Like, this is it. I'm at the finish line. It makes no sense. And I was telling Lauren last night, I can't imagine having a version of myself come at me and go, Rachel, nice to meet you. I'm also Rachel. We can't do this. This doesn't make any sense. And me being like, you know me best. How dare you? Like, I would be so pissed at me.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I guess the sense of completion is like a little bit of it, like completionist, you want to do your end goal or whatever. But I still am going so hard on the fact that she has been protecting herself and staying alive. Everybody in this fucking show was like, that's the Loki's one defining trait, that they're survivors or whatever. She has been protecting herself, which is the self part, the only way that she is self-involved. She's been protecting herself for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and she has not died. Why would she suddenly do a different thing than what she knows keeps her alive? Like,
you wouldn't.
Yeah, and especially if this is the thing that, like, unlocks the door. Like, you're free after this.
Right.
Like,
but then other people would say, like, there is the possibility that you're not, or there's the possibility that this goes way worse for you.
But she can't stop there. She's there. Like, she has to. Right. She has to.
But I think this is the part people are struggling with, that yes, she does have all that evidence that's like, oh, don't do it. I'm sorry. She has also evidence that's like, you have to do this. Like, this is the way. This is what you're here for. And then she's faced with more updated data that tells her don't. And so people are like, well, why didn't she just listen? Well, you try it after spending thousands of years going for this. Right. This is all you have had to hold on to keep you fucking alive. Right. Because otherwise, what was her life? You want her to drop it now and like hold hands with Loki and jump into a fucking
they're gonna live in the
sunset
quantum realm,
like,
and you have to realize that, like, on top of this, Kang had just told them that literally everything that they had ever done was scripted, and she was like, no, I broke free of that, like, that's what this was. And he was like, no, that was all part of it too, like, this was all supposed to be, up to the point where he's like, okay, I don't know what's gonna happen after this. I would also immediately kill the I would be like, oh, this is all me now? Like, this is my choice? Right. Bye. Like,
interesting. That would have scared me a little shitless. I don't know.
Sound like Dean Winchester there, like, oh.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
It's a lot to have crashing down at you all at once. And I would always go with what has worked. Why would you not? Like, I don't.
Sure. That's very Slytherin of you.
Well, yeah, and I understand that Loki was coming at her with logic, but there wasn't enough time and there was too much emotion to, like, sit down. And, I mean, you notice that she works very, very, very hard to avoid Loki's words. She immediately goes, oh, you just want the throne. Obviously, she doesn't think that. Loki's gone through this whole growth with her. Like, he hasn't been near that person.
She needs that to be true. She needs that to be true.
She needs to say it and convince herself of it so she can be like, this guy's being a dick. He's not right about anything. Like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
he just wants power, and I don't want to deal with that. So, fuck him. Yeah, that's all it was.
I fully get why she did what she did, where she ended up the place that she did. I feel bad for her. Because she obviously is going to fucking feel very bad about this. So
yeah, she already did. We saw her, like, fall to the ground. Yeah, when Kang was like, yeah, kill me. And then nothing happened. And she's like, but like, this was for nothing. Yeah.
And it goes back to before when we were saying, like, Slytherins are like, I'll go around it. I'll get through it. I'll do what I have to do. And it's future me's problem. I don't think she was prepared for that future her's problem.
Well, and like I said, like, it was an immediate failure of this thing that you've been working for 1,000 years. It immediately manifested as a failure. That's gonna get a Slytherin. Like, it's gonna.
Yikes.
Like, I feel like a Gryffindor could kind of be like, a fuck up. Well, must continue. Like,
Right.
you know?
Expected this. I expected this.
But,
The Slytherin doesn't expect to fail. I think
especially not at, like, the big one. Like,
No.
this is it. Yeah. Yeah.
What would have happened if Steve Rogers failed the big one?
God.
Imagine that.
God. It would have, see, Slytherin naysayers for Steve Rogers, think about that. What would have happened if Steve, like, didn't beat Hydra or he
Oof.
didn't, like, you know, beat Thanos? Like, what would Steve Rogers be? We saw a tiny little bit of it after the snap. A
Yep.
little bit of him sitting in a fucking rec center talking about this woman who fell in love with someone else decades and decades ago and had her own life. And he's like, might as well talk about this now that I did not kill Thanos.
Right.
Like,
and that's it. You're going to carry that failure with you forever
Yeah.
as a Slytherin.
I do
Sorry,
want to
guys.
say, like, the one thing that I thought was interesting in that finale episode too was before they got to Kang and Miss Minutes jump scared the fuck out of all of us.
Oh my God.
And she was like,
That little bitch.
yeah, I know. And she was like, oh, I wanted to, you know, offer you guys a deal. Like, you know, look, you can go back into the timeline and Loki will win the Battle of New York and have I thought it was I don't really need to talk that much about that instance with Loki because it was just like, he clearly was not interested at all, which is awesome.
Right.
That's what the show wanted to do. But, he was interested in being with Sylvie is what he was interested in. But when they're like, oh, you can have your own life, like you'll wake up with memories and it'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. And Loki never really says no. He kind of waits to see what Sylvie wants. And Sylvie is the one who like rejects it. And her reason for rejecting it is like, she's like, it's not real. You stole realness from me. And because you stole it, it is literally impossible for me to ever have that. And I don't care what you do, I will always know it. And we're going to talk about Natasha, and this is a little bit Natasha, but it's just like something she knows she can never ever have. So like, I don't want it now. Like, it's dirty. Like, I don't care if you try to give it to me and you tell me that I won't remember. It's no, I refuse it.
It reminds me of just like as a supernatural comparison, of course. Dean's faced with this problem of having free will taken completely away from him. He puts a gun up to Sam. Like he has a breakdown. It's all emotionally driven. Like he freaks out completely. Sylvie just flat out is like, no, that makes no sense. It's not real. So no. And Dean the whole time is like, nothing is real. Fuck it. Like I can't. No. And he's going insane. Sylvie the whole time is like, yeah. It sucks. I'm not going to take any fake version of it. I'm going to kill this man who's responsible. That's it.
Right.
I'm killing him. Like, it's such a different way of dealing with it.
Only way forward. Like, I don't want you to give me some fake realness, even if I won't know it's fake. I don't want it. Like, I don't.
Proud of Loki for not doing it either.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was waiting for Sylvie. If Sylvie had said I want it, I feel like he would have like sucked it up and been like, fine, I'll be this dictator, like whatever. Like, you know?
I don't know. He came pretty far. I don't know.
He did. I don't know. I have some stuff to say about him ruling because we did get instances of him ruling and he was not awful. So like, you know, I guess I'm pretty done with Sylvie. I talked about her.
Oh, you're done with her?
I said everything on my little notepad, so
wow, can't go off.
And I know we have so much to say about Natasha, and I know you were like, I have nothing to say about Loki because he's so obvious, but I have.
Well, here's the problem. It's not that I have nothing to say about him. It's just that I think anyone who's watched Loki from the Avengers on could say, okay, that's a Slytherin. Like many, many months ago when we first started the podcast, I was talking to Lauren about Loki, and someone asked us, are you going to sort him?
Oh, yeah.
And we agreed, like, let's just wait for the show because we might get more meat here. And part of me wanted to wait because I wanted to see if there was a possibility that maybe we got backstory or something that maybe I'm wrong. Because what I don't like sometimes is when it's the obvious sort. Mm-hmm. Just kind of, it's just something that just bugs me sometimes. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, of course I clocked him as a Slytherin from the jump, but I was like, I wonder if there's like some kind of weird Ravenclaw here, if there's some like chaos overlord type shtick going on, but no, there's not.
Or and like it's an othering Hufflepuff.
Sure. There just isn't, though.
No.
He's too self-centered.
He's a textbook narcissist. He's in
Yeah,
love with
I mean,
himself.
like, literal narcissist. Yeah. That, okay, I'm gonna say it, like, it makes complete sense for him to fall in love with himself. How anyone has a problem with it or finds it to be, like, out of character or ridiculous or weird. What? Do you know? Have you seen Loki? Have you watched the movies? Of course he's gonna fall in love with himself. Who else? No one's good enough for him. Like, this is Loki. Huge Slytherin. Like,
And
when me and Lauren also,
he wouldn't be able to listen to anybody either. Like he
No.
obviously loves Thor, and he can't listen to Thor. He just can't. Like
not at all. No, he thinks Thor's stupid. Like, he's his dumb, lovable brother. That's it. He loves him, but, like, obviously Loki thinks he's smarter than Thor.
Yeah.
All right? Loki thinks he's smarter than everyone. He's always the smartest one in the room. Even when, like, he's faced with evidence where people are like, you're wrong, and you're being terrible and awful, he's like, yeah, okay, I'm terrible and awful anyway, and he'll continue doing what he wants to do. Slytherin. Where else are you supposed to put this dude?
Nowhere.
His variant is a Slytherin because he's a Slytherin. Like, his variants, Sylvie, all
of them. Every single one of them.
Look at him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You can talk about, I mean, look, we can talk about movies.
I can go through this. I got all of it.
She's got so many notes, guys.
Shut up.
This is my problem.
Okay.
As you list the events of what happened, I feel that my only response is, yeah, Slytherin. like, you just go through what he does.
We can discuss them.
Of course. That is the point of the show.
I told you this was my fear last night, that you were going to say things and I was just going to, like, go off and off about how it's Slytherin. Just need to explain myself and my people.
Of course. But that's good. I want to give you your platform to talk about your people because it's a Slytherin-centric celebration extravaganza. So go ahead. What do you got for Loki? Let's go.
All right. I got extremely obvious chosen one syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Insanely. I don't know what kind of spoiled he was by Odin as a child. If you like asked Loki, it would be not at all. But there's no way that he wasn't spoiled.
They abused me.
You see Odin with the two little boys, the Thor and Loki, and he tells both of them that they're destined to rule one day and like be the greatest of all time and like Asgardian, history, blah 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 blah. So like obvious chosen one syndrome. He's always known. He's been born to rule something. And this comes up with Mobius in the first episode when Mobius is like, all right, so you get out of the TVA, what are you gonna do? And he's like, I'm gonna rule. And Mobius is like, what are you gonna rule? And he's like, Midgard. He's like, okay, and then what? And Loki's like, in Asgard. And Mobius is like, okay, then what? Space? You want to be the king of space? Like, what is happening here? And
very different than Thor, who is just like, I am meant to rule Asgard, and that's it.
Right? Yeah. Yes. Yep. But here's the thing where it like gets weird with Loki because he doesn't really have that defined idea. He's like, I'm gonna rule. But then Mobius is listing these things and he's like, yeah, sure. Yeah. That one works too. Like, whatever. Sure. Let's do them all. And then also, like you just said, he gets extremely bothered by the fact that he's not the smartest in the room in the show Loki towards the beginning before he meets Sylvie, when they're all like, the more dangerous variant, the better Loki. He always has a response like, well, she's not the better Loki, or like, I'm the best Loki, or like even when they pull them back into the TVA and Sylvie has like 7 TVA agents swarming all over her, and Loki's got like Mobius and one other TVA agent. He's like, this is really insulting. Like, he's got stuff to say. He is bothered by the fact that he's not the best one in the room, or like not perceived to be the best one in the room.
That's
like,
it too.
Yeah.
He has to be perceived to be.
Yeah. He has to be seen. And actually, this is the one quote I pulled up before with Rachel because I was trying to remember it. And I think like it goes along with Loki being the god of mischief and illusion, and like perception is a very, very big Slytherin thing. Here's the big secret. I don't actually need to be the smartest person in the room, but if everybody thinks I am, it's as good as, like, you know.
Ah,
So
you don't need the
so
authenticity.
yeah, no, I just need other people to think it. And and Mobius is like driving at him, like, do you like hurting people? Like, why do you like
Mm,
hurting people? And he says like, he doesn't do it because he wants to. He does it because he's always had to, because it's part of the illusion, because hurting people and pain is the cruel, elaborate trick conjured by the weak to inspire fear. So he is like self aware of the fact that he is not always the strongest or best, but that this is how he needs to make it seem like he is.
yeah.
He's very self aware of that fact. Like, he's very careful about the facade that he puts on, and that's actually another point that's coming up. And then also, like, obviously he fucking keeps going around being all like glorious purpose. Like, I don't know what's more chosen one than that.
I can't, dude. He had me crying. Like every time any line he said that was meant to be taken seriously, I was like, you fucking drama queen. You come on. He takes himself very seriously. And he's deeply insecure, which, Slytherins kind of can be.
Yes. Yes. No. Yeah, you can say it. They are. I'll go on.
All
Like,
right, I don't know. I don't know.
they are. Like, that one was super obvious, and then this one's super obvious too. He's the god of mischief, chaos, deceit, illusion. Like, his role is literally to manipulate others into seeing what he wants them to see. And he is good at doing that because he knows what people want to see.
Yeah.
He's gotten Thor so many times. Like, I just mean, Thor finally like caught on there at the end, but like, he just really knows how to read people. He fooled the entire kingdom of Asgard for
Yeah.
however long he was Odin. And like, and I don't think he was like trying very hard to be Odin, but everybody like
Yeah, dude, he's so funny. Oh, he kills me.
he's such a drama queen. He Yes, like, again, goes along with the chosen thing. Like, his end goal is to be in charge of something, to rule something. It was it was like Asgard, then Earth, then back to Asgard, and then it was Sakaar when he was stuck there, and then it was the TVA.
Yep.
He's like, I want to see these timekeepers. Like, I want to talk to them. And Sylvie shows up, and he's like, we could overthrow this bitch. She's got like no interest.
No nonsense.
Right.
You
And
see how Slytherins can be so fucking different?
yes, it's
God.
yes. This is an important lesson. And then like, this end goal is like selfish. Like, you look at it and like, this asshole power hungry, he wants to rule things, like, it's selfish. But I was thinking more about it last night, and especially in retrospect, like in comparison to Sylvie. And like, having this goal to rule something that Odin told him was what he was supposed to be doing, it
Mhm.
like gives him a sense of purpose. And it's
Glorious
almost
purpose?
like yeah, well, glorious purpose, but it's also like security. And it's like a
Yeah, he
way
needs
to
it.
right, and it's also a way, he's the brother of Thor, who is worthy enough to fly around with this fucking hammer, and like, Loki doesn't have some symbol of worthiness or whatever. If he rules something, he's worthy. So it's
Right.
like a sense of like fulfillment and security, and like, so yes, selfish, but there's also some like ooh there. Like, you're like, oh.
Well, he's like the original OG emo Slytherin. Like,
Yes,
he really
yes.
is. Truly. There's
Yep.
no there's no getting around it. He's an emo kid.
Mm-hmm. And then I had so then we get into, unlike Sylvie, Loki does have people. He did not grow up running away from everything in order to save himself or whatever. His relationship with all these people is so extremely complicated and messed up. But like, he loves Odin. Odin lied to him, and he was bummed when Odin died. And it was his fault. He was. He was bummed about it. He was bummed. He was like,
tantrum.
Yeah, he had a bit of a tantrum. Yeah, but he was also a little bummed.
A bit of a tantrum. Oh my God! Listen, stop defending him just because he's a Slytherin. He's ridiculous. But yes, he loves his father. For sure.
And Odin
That
obviously,
hurt.
and Odin also obviously, like, had a little bit of favoritism towards Thor there, which was an issue, which was Odin's issue. And Loki, like was whispering in his sleeping ear, like, I'm gonna kill you. Like, did he really ever do it? Like, he did.
Only the child of Loki did.
Yeah. So, he loves his mother, Frigga.
Oh, yeah.
He loves her. She taught him magic. He is how she died. They show him that at the TVA.
That was bad.
And Loki in the dark world, having done that, and Loki seeing what he had done, were both extremely deeply affected
Yeah.
by that failure, that wrong choice. Like, he was trying to hurt Thor, and he ended up getting his mother killed. So and then Thor is his person. I don't.
Of course.
Yeah, it's so funny because before this show, Loki and Thor were both very defined by their relationship to each other. I think Loki more so because he didn't really have like a movie focused on his development or whatever. So
Yeah.
Loki was more defined by his relationship to Thor. And it's so funny because before the TVA, every moment that we see Loki is trying to get Thor's attention by blowing up New York, or like, yeah, like fighting with Thor, stabbing
It's so
Thor in the
true.
back, like it's all about Thor. And I was like, but he has never directly tried to kill. Like it's either like a giant robot or some like dark elves, but Loki himself has never been like, I'm gonna kill Thor, like.
Yeah. I'm trying to, now we'll see now, I'm trying to fact check that in my mind. I guess that's true.
He stabs him in the dark world, but it's part of the
Right.
plot, yeah.
Yeah, I guess he never.
Doing. Yeah, he's never directly like pulled out the dagger, as he easily could have done, and been like,
he easily could have annihilated everyone at all times.
I know.
He's the baby of the family. His older brother's the golden child. He feels like the fuck up on the side who's the mama's boy. She teaches him magic and like, I love mommy. Why doesn't daddy love me? He's just such a goddamn emo kid.
Am I adopted? Yes.
I love him.
Yeah,
I love him.
like not only does he never directly try to kill Thor, he ends up dying for Thor.
Yep.
He like that's his end. That he dies. He's on the ship with Thanos, and Thor's all tied up, and Heimdall dies for no reason, and he tries to get his brother some time or something. Which also, like, I don't even want to talk about how I wish they had done it more in the show. When older Loki was like, I got away really easily. Like, the way that he died is so...
The way who died? Old Thor?
Loki.
I mean, sorry, old Loki.
Loki. No. Original Loki.
Like his actual death?
In Infinity War. Is so fucking... And I want to say that it's not Slytherin, because the Slytherin, like, Loki has always done. He should have done what old Loki did and, like, cast a projection or, like, blah, blah, blah. But I guess old Loki kind of explained, like, I cast one so powerful. So maybe our Loki didn't have confidence in himself, which would be very Slytherin. And also, I'm kind of taking it at the level of he was thinking more about Thor than he was about getting away himself.
Well, I'm glad you're giving some credit to that atrocious fucking...
I try for the Russo brothers.
No goddamn excuse for it.
They threw that Steve shit out there too, and I had to be like, well, this is Slytherin, and now you're forcing me to explain it, but I didn't want, like, it never should have happened in the first place.
Every choice was horrible. I can't even get into Endgame, dude. I can't.
I can't either. I didn't watch it in my rewatch.
I don't blame you. Like,
yeah. Anyway.
Bring Tony back.
Anyway, on top of, like, these people, his family, he actually cares really deeply for Asgard. Like, he accepts Asgard as his home. They tell him he's a frost giant, and he's like, okay, and then he, like, goes and kills the entire planet. And then he's like, whatever. Like I mentioned earlier, when he is pretending to be Odin and he's actually ruling Asgard, the fuck does he do? He's all bark and no bite. Like, oh, I'm gonna rule Midgard and it's gonna be awful and you all are gonna be like so, and then he rules Asgard and he puts up a statue of himself and just plays about how great he is. Like, nobody there seemed upset when Thor showed up. Nobody there was upset.
Nope. He wasn't doing anything. He was drinking wine and chilling. Putting putting on a play about how much his brother should regret all of his choices.
Yeah, and you can't even give him the excuse of like maybe he was ramping up to being awful. He'd been there for a couple of years, and Thor had no idea.
No, and again, Loki is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
He could easily have just shredded it.
Mm-hmm.
But he does. He loves it. He wants to rule it. His whole problem is his insecurity. It's his whole issue.
Well, then, like in Ragnarok, he shows up with the ship. Like, he could have gotten away, and he shows up to save everybody, you know, and then he shows up and is like, thank you, you're welcome. Like, you know, like, get on my ship or whatever. And he's obviously very affected when he hears about Ragnarok during the TVA, even though he's like, yes, very sad. Anyway, moving on. Like, you're so full of bullshit. Like, you were so upset that your entire planet and all your people are dead. Oh yeah, so then to go along with showing up the ship, you need to give him the recognition and the praise he deserves. Every time he does something, you need to acknowledge it and you need to say thank you. This is extremely very stereotypical Slytherin. Fucking in Dark World when he and Thor come up with the plot or whatever, and then he's dying, the thing that he bases the play off of or whatever. And Thor's like holding him, and Loki's like, "Tell father what I did." It's like, you need to praise me for my actions. They were heroic. Like, you know.
If you don't, I'm gonna do something really bad.
And then, like I said, he builds a giant statue of himself. He puts on a play, being like, "I need to be praised" or whatever. When he's at the TVA and he becomes friends with Mobius. Mobius needs to praise him for the shit that he's doing. When he figures out it's the apocalypses, he's like, hello? Like, can I get, do I get a badge? What's going on here?
Can I get a crumb of anything here? Just
and
credit?
And, Mobius brings up how he, never shuts up and is constantly talking, and I think that's part of what it is. Like, if I just keep talking and keep saying things, one thing will come out that they'll be like, good job, Loki, so you, just keep going.
It's textbook. It's textbook. All of it.
I have he never really apologizes for his wrongdoing. You know,
not even a little.
In Ragnarok, when the Hulk goes to sleep and Bruce shows up, and Bruce is obviously traumatized by Loki for very good reason. Loki's just like, hey, what's up? We're gonna work together. And he's like, and that's also very Slytherin. One, he's not gonna apologize, and two, he has absolutely no problem working with adversaries. Like, he has no issue with it. He's fine.
That's true.
He's just gonna do it.
He's just a chaos demon. This is why I wanted so badly, man. I wanted so badly for Ravenclaw to fit. I did back then. Because it just fits with my Ravenclaws are chaos demons theory. And it's no. He's way too self-centered and way too needy.
Yeah.
Way too needy. And y'all are. Slytherins are so needy.
Yeah, we are. We absolutely are. It goes hand in hand with having the people thing. That's the emotional chink that gets us where we get chink in the armor. It's where we get. It's where you get us. But so Sylvie is obviously mad about this whole free will thing. But Loki is more especially because we see him first find out about it, is more explosively just this is fucking bullshit. They're somebody
unacceptable.
Yeah. Somebody's been controlling what you've been doing your entire life, and he's literally nobody can control me. That's just not possible. It's just not happening.
Be tamed.
Yeah, it's not happening. And he and it really is. He's just it's bullshit, and I don't believe it. The things that I do, I want to do. Nobody is making me do them. I'm doing what I want to do always, every time. He's so indignant about it. Yeah, and then he immediately wants to go after the timekeepers and be like, let me talk to these fuckers. They think they're controlling me? It's not happening. His mom has a great line in the Dark World when Thor brings him back after Avengers, and they're suitably disappointed in him for trying to kill all the humans. They're like, what did you do this time? But Frigga's you're always so perceptive about everybody but yourself.
Right.
Which is also extremely Slytherin. Slytherins need to be perceptive about other people literally in order to function. But then, like, on the flip side, we can also be very bad at ourselves. It's,
Hmm.
I don't know what it is. It's something about the self-centeredness and, like, the focus on yourself all the time that
I
suddenly when
have a
it's
theory
like,
that it's like about I think it's that you guys can totally see yourselves clearly, but you have an ability to block it out because a lot of that can be perceived as weakness, and that is unacceptable for
well,
yourself.
here's the other thing. I think that's right. And I also think it's that I can see myself clearly, but then I think I'm tricking myself because I know
Interesting.
I'm really good at that. So
What do you mean?
I'm good at, if I'm so good at at other people's perception, like driving other people's perception and making other people see me the way I want to be seen, then how
Uh-huh.
am I not good at fooling myself into seeing what I want to see?
Because you're fully aware of what you're doing at all
But
times.
I'm not. I could be tricking myself.
You're That's bullshit. You never are tricking yourself. I don't believe that for a fucking hot second.
I'm not. This is honestly something that I've worried about, that I cannot see myself clearly because I'm seeing what I want to see.
Yeah, that's just imposter theory, the imposter syndrome. That's all that is. I think Slytherins come with that like attached, like you're born
It's just part
and
of the
it's
package.
it's stamped on you. Um,
Uh,
and a lot of you try to overcompensate, and sometimes you end up with a Loki one if you
well, I
overcompensate too much.
like my next point was like he avoids examining himself in order to function in life.
Mm,
Because if he really stops to take the time to like see what he's done due to all his trauma, he's not gonna like it. So he just doesn't think about that. He just keeps doing what
right.
he's doing. Like if we never stop, we're never upset. Like
Sure. So healthy.
which is Natasha does that, but in a different way. So
Mm,
that'll come up too. But oh, and I mentioned earlier when Rachel said that like Loki is just like life is a game to him. She's right. He is constantly changing his goalposts and
mhm.
he's constantly playing chess. I like compare this to a lot like Leia when we talked about like Leia was sitting in the jail cell and she was totally cool with like whatever comes along is what I'm going to
Yeah.
do in order to get out or whatever. Every time that we've seen Loki like thrust into a situation that he didn't expect or like it's like literally sometimes he's in a jail cell, he adapts to it, like when he's in the prison cell on Asgard, when he
Mhm.
like lands on Sakaar and he's been there for 2 weeks and
Yeah.
Thor shows
Yep.
up and Loki's like, yeah, I'm like best friends with the Grand Master and we're gonna like I'm
Mhm.
gonna rule this place in a couple of months or whatever. Or like when he's captured with the TVA, he like moves the goalposts and he's always playing chess. Like the most obvious instance to me is landing on Sakaar. Like he falls off the
Yeah.
rainbow bridge after being attacked by this sister that he never knew he had, who is like hot and extremely evil and much stronger than him. He just saw her like destroy Mjolnir, which he never thought was possible. He falls off the rainbow bridge and falls through space and lands on this planet where like the way of life is to like have like shows and fight battles to survive or
Mhm.
whatever. And he's just like,
Just gets with the
yeah,
program.
he's like, all right, I live here now. He's like,
Yep.
and he's fully integrated into it by the time Thor shows up like 2 weeks later. So
Oh god, he's so fun.
he's a really cool, he's an extremely interesting character.
He's
Uh,
very snaky, okay?
mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but it's
He
like
is.
this he's the stereotypical one.
He is. Again, Loki's are survive. He fakes his death so many times, and he convinces Thor every time. Thor's like getting tired of it. He's like, "I mourned you," and Loki's like, "You can keep doing that because this is going to keep happening." Like I don't know what to
Start the process now for the next
right.
one.
It's like you better be suitably upset and happy when I arrive because this
Put on a
needs
play for me.
right. This needs to be the case each time I need to be praised. But yeah, and then looks like oh some like random small things before I get to the end of Loki. We can talk about how he reacted to that too. That scene where all the variants are fighting each other and he is so embarrassed and so
Yeah.
fed up
Well,
was
he's forced to look at himself, isn't he?
extremely yeah, you're forced to look at yourself and you're like, seriously? And also, it's like a pulling back the curtain. Like, I know this whole show went hard for the Wizard of Oz. Like, who's the man behind the curtain?
Oh yeah.
But it's a little bit of pulling back the curtain because Loki puts on this perception. And now he's looking at this and he's like, is this what other people are seeing in me? Because
Right.
this is not correct. Like, this is not what I want.
They're the stupid ones. What do you mean?
And then I also had because I take Steve as such a weird Slytherin and kind of like a barometer or whatever. I'm gonna talk about him a lot more with Natasha, obviously, because they have a much greater relationship. But Loki is weirdly extremely annoyed by Steve. Like, has met him twice and, mimics him we see in Endgame when they flash back to the Avengers, mimics him there, like turns into him. And then when he and Thor are walking down the hallway in Dark World, he mimics him. And it's like, why? You've known this man for like 2 seconds. And I'm just going to connect to Loki a little bit here. When I try to explain why Steve Rogers is annoying to me, it's because I can relate to him and I know exactly why he's doing the things he does, but it's not the choice that I would make, so it annoys me. Because I'm like, smart. No. And I really think that's what Loki is feeling, where he's like, yeah. And then he gets to, like, he's like, Steve Rogers is a super soldier. Everybody obviously admires him, looks up to him. He doesn't need to beg for praise. Like, he gets it. And he's doing this with it. Like, like, it's annoying to him. He's like, this fucking goody. I don't like it. And I'm going to make fun of it.
I see that.
Yep. And, okay, so now here you go. You remember the last episode. So that's where I'm at with Loki.
Well,
when he as opposed to Sylvie, he's using logic. When Kang is like, this is what's gonna happen, he's like, I feel the truth in this. Like, I believe this.
Loki always uses logic, though. I'm gonna give that to him. Even with when he ends up on Jeff Goldblum's planet that I can't remember the name
Sakaar?
of. Yeah, sure. It's yes, he's trying to survive, but what is that not logical? Is that not like what we're supposed to do as living beings? So he's always making the most logical decision. It's just that it's the most logical for himself. This is one of the first times you see it, like, he doesn't want it to have far-reaching consequences and impact on another person. Yes. And maybe other people outside of it. I don't know how much he really cares. But in that moment, he really cares about Sylvie.
Yes.
So, oh, you know what? No, when he takes the L for Thanos, when he dies, he does it for Thor too. So he's capable of doing it for people he loves.
Mm-hmm.
Very logical, dude. I have to give him that.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it calls back to the quote that I read that, like, he's putting on this illusion and perception of pain or whatever. Because when you were saying that, I was thinking of, like, the example Mobius gives when he, like, takes the eye out of the guy in Germany. And he's like, there was no reason for it to be like that or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it was logical to put on that show. Like, that, right. Yeah, he was putting on a show. He was making an illusion, like a perception, creating a perception of himself. But yeah, he can see, like, and Kang, I don't want to sort Kang yet because we're going to see so much of him. But I was getting a feeling in that room of all three of them sitting there speaking to each other. And Kang is like I'm so excited to see more of him because he's because he exists outside of time and in all times and blah, like, it's all a circle and he knows everything and he knows nothing and blah 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 blah. And so what Loki is doing, and it's like Kang's very existence is a manipulation too. I don't think he can no longer not manipulate because whatever he says has to be a lie in some way because he's been everywhere and nowhere, like, So Loki manages
I know his house.
See, I know it too. So Loki can see past that, like, manipulation or whatever you want to call it. He can see past it to the cold hard truth of it, and he does want to protect the universe. I do think some of it is with Sylvie, but I also want to give him credit that I think he's grown enough that he's like, I don't want to fuck up the universe, like, and I feel like what he was trying to get at with Sylvie is that there could be another way to make sure people have some sort of there's something that we can figure out here, like we could, because I think Kang even says, like, you can be benevolent rulers and you can tell everybody at the TVA what's going on and why we do it, and and like figure something else out as long as the timeline stays, the supreme timeline or whatever. And I think he was like, okay, this is the next step. Like, get Sylvie to not do her thing, and then we'll figure it out from there or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Like this this whole ending is such like past Loki and Sylvie and past the Slytherin. It's such a deep philosophical question too. Like much more than than Thanos's. There's not enough resources on the planet, so that means
oh my God.
means instead of
no
multiplying the resources by 2, I need to have all the people. Like what? Yeah, no. This was like a very deep, like who decides who gets to live and who gets to die, especially when the reason for that decision is in order to keep everybody alive. You know? So it's very deep. And Loki was like, we just need to not do this immediate thing. And then we can talk this over and like figure out what's going on. And we'll figure something out that everybody can be happy with. And he like this is Slytherin too. Like Sylvie has definitely become his person at this point, and he was fighting her. Like he wasn't pulling, but he was fighting her, and he had a knife going at her. And he acknowledges to her that he can't be trusted, and that he was in the same place as her, and that he wants her to be okay. Like he has grown quite a bit, and this is something that I really want to see more of and talk about too, because I was trying to figure out if this Loki is in the same place or has grown past where our Loki was in Endgame. Because that Loki was past it. I would say past it too, but I can't know until he interacts with like.
I know what you mean, and that's true. You can't really say it because they could write something completely fucking stupid.
Well, it's not even just
what I'm going to say, but I think that the character development you see with Loki comes. Like the Loki that died, and how do we differ between them?
Our 2012 Loki, 2012 Loki, 2012 Loki, and
2012 Loki reaches a level of development that he only can with time spent fighting alongside his brother. And Thor has always been a constant.
No, New 2012 Loki is okay. 2012 Loki is the one in the TVA because that's where they take him.
My bad. I was talking about OG Loki there. New Loki, TVA Loki, 2012 Loki, whatever.
Yeah,
it's motivated by Sylvie. Sylvie's new. Sylvie's also part of him. I think he grew in a way that is kind of, how the fuck can you grow like to those levels without, having some good conversations with your hot self? I don't know. I feel like it opened up some doors for him.
That very reason is why I'm questioning it, because he's had this growth in basically isolation, like complete isolation.
Yes, so but you always say that you come to understandings of things of like trials and tribulations in your life with debating with yourself.
Yes.
Okay. And that does lead to growth, Lauren.
Yes. No, I know. I know that it does. But I'm saying it's such a contrast, because you're right that OG Loki had his growth through his relationship with Thor. And I was trying to puzzle out like 2012 Loki, his growth was it was literally with himself. He sat in a room and talked to himself for weeks and weeks is what his growth was, which can be good and very healthy. But it's whether or not it carries over into the external part of like, now I'm interacting with Thor, and and he didn't have that same growth that original Loki had with Thor. He didn't have. I think Ragnarok was an incredibly good experience in movie for them. Movie, whatever moment for them, and like bonding experience.
He grew in OG Loki grew for Thor, though. It was for Thor. Like, it wasn't for. I don't think that Loki wanted to completely stop conquering or ruling something. Like, I don't think he lost very much of himself in the development. Like that.
I don't know.
Part of him that will put plays on for himself, and
I don't know, because I think that Loki really came to his like conclusion of like, this is what I can be for Asgard, and like Thor's gonna rule, and I am gonna be right here doing that with him, and also like the fact that he basically sacrificed himself. I feel like he was settled with where he was at. Like, this is what ruling now means for me. So I don't know.
Interesting. I don't know. It was a very different side of him that we got to see through this show.
It's true.
And I really do feel like it was a deeper growth than we saw in the movies. Now, maybe that's because it was so hyper-focused on him. But just watch Loki in episode 1 and episode 6. It's like it's night and day. So, and his growth in Ragnarok is pretty quick, too. He's
Well,
Let
yeah.
no one
and,
say
like,
that Slytherins can't like adapt very quickly and
oh,
change
yeah.
very quickly.
And I mean, you see like a little tiny bit of it in Dark World because he
Mm.
obviously instead of betraying Thor, he actually does. Yeah, he helps him out. But
I think he does want to be helpful. I do. I think
he
Loki
does too.
does.
He wants
care.
a purpose. If you tell
Right.
him, if Thor gives him a glorious purpose in the sense that like you are my like, I don't know, like we're dual kings or you're like tiny little one
Right.
step
It can't
below
just
me.
be affection.
Yeah. Yeah. Loki would be like, yeah, sweet. Like this is what I do. This is what I do now. But
Yeah. Poor sweet Thor. He does. He's like, I don't know what you want from me. Like, what's gonna make
it's like I love you. I cuddle you. I don't know.
I don't want your fucking cuddles. Yeah. And I just think that there's a certain kind of growth that comes from having those kinds of conversations just with yourself. Honest conversations with no one knows you as well as you know you.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's true. Like really sorting through your own thoughts and being honest with yourself about who you are, and it's a different kind of growth. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I was just gonna say somebody on Twitter pointed out the other day in our Ragnarok when Doctor Strange takes Loki away and the business card shows up and Thor pokes it with his umbrella. Somebody was like, Thor thought Loki had turned into a business card and was literally like poking him. Like, why did you do that? I was like,
oh my God. Oh, I'll never see that the same again. That's really funny. Twitter.
Anyway, I guess we can talk about the conversation Loki had with Nat.
So yeah, we can go. We definitely go.
Yeah.
That's a great segue. There you have the cocky fucking like. It's not even Draco Malfoy type, like stereotypical Slytherin.
And he's
it's
so
like
punchable. He's in a jail cell, and he's in a jail cell and floating in the air, and he's like, I'm exactly where I want to be.
Yeah.
you're like, God damn it.
Oh, the smarmy little bastard. So they had to send their best Slytherin in to deal with the Slytherin. I mean, truly, that's pretty much what happened there. I bet you anything he had such a respect for her after that. I bet you anything.
Yeah, I bet so too. I really do. And yeah, he must have. And then Nat, I mean, I'll just
not that she would give a fuck at all.
Right? No, she would not care. Not give him the time of day. And I guess this was one of my points, but I can forget it. And like Nat, along with Clint. But Clint's got his like fancy arrows or whatever, right? Nat's got like guns and like the electric cuffs, and that's it. And she's down there like fighting fucking. I'm sure Loki was like, "Look at this bitch go!" Like,
yeah, true. Real recognizes real.
Yeah.
That was such a good. I wish we'd seen more of them because he would just. He's just so goddamn smarmy and just so. Oh, it's the snaky Slytherin. It's that. I love it personally when I see it in villains or in any characters, really. But at that point, of course, he is the villain. And she plays him so goddamn good.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just so excellent at that in general. Like, she's such an impressive character. You just think back to, like, is it the Avengers or is it the next one where she's tied with her arms to the back of the chair?
It's Avengers. It's when they call her and tell her to go get Bruce. Yeah.
And she's just on the phone like, yeah, what's up? I'm fighting these bozos. And they're like, what do you mean? Oh, so good. And Loki just does not see that coming. At all. You mewling
she
quib.
she comes in there and she's like, what's your plan? Why are you like, why
are you like this?
Yeah, she's like, why are you doing this? Like, you're hurting my feelings. And Loki's there like, God, yeah, making little girls cry is my favorite. And he's like,
he's like, easy target. Finally, great.
Like, yeah. And he's like, you don't even know that my plan's in action. Like, I'm going to do it and it's happening right now and blah, blah, blah. And she like, it's so like that moment where she like, she had turned away to cry or whatever because he's been screaming at her and like supposedly traumatizing her. And she like turns back around and she's like, so that's your plan, huh? And just walks away on her walkie. Like Loki's yelling after her, like, what do you mean? Come back. And she's like secure the Hulk.
I wasn't done being evil. What do you mean? And okay, so here is the big lesson that, we really want you to take away from this episode is that you can be in the same goddamn house as someone and act completely differently, react to things completely differently, behave totally differently. It's the way you handle certain situations and your motivations that really lands you in a house. They could not be more different.
Mm-hmm.
They could not. They are night and goddamn day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she could probably understand Loki. I think she already did kind of clock him and know what, she needed to get out of it. Like I think maybe that they could understand each other, but will they ever like each other? No, they'd hate each other.
No, she would understand because, and like here you can almost say too, like they both had traumatic childhoods, and then this is how Loki. And they're different types of traumatic too, right? Like,
like Loki would be like, mine was worse.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you grew up in a palace, and he's like, but I wasn't.
I was fucking trafficked, but my daddy lied to me.
Yeah, exactly. But like they both obviously were affected by their childhoods and blah blah blah, and they reacted very differently. But also there are points where they intersect. The way that Natasha got away from her life, Loki would have been like, "Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, you did what absolutely you did what needed to be done. So like it is that they can act very differently, but that they would understand each other and that they're acting for the same.
Well, this is why, like you said, he hates Steve. He gets it. He just hates what he's doing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't see him impersonating Nat.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. And that's what's so funny too, that you kept saying like Loki would hold Nat in high regard. I think that one's true. And then I think opposite, Nat would be like, why the fuck is Loki doing this? With the way that he, like, why is he acting like this? I had said all the way back with Sylvie that that when we knew we were going to do these three, I was like, they are all self-involved in some way. Loki is the most obviously obvious. And then it said Sylvie is about protecting herself. And here's Nat. Nat needs to prove herself to herself. That is how she is self-involved. She needs to prove herself to herself, and she's got a lot of reasons for why that needs to happen and why she will never do it. She will never be good enough for herself.
Can you believe that? First of all, I have. Okay, I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Joss Whedon can fucking go fuck himself, though. Okay, like beyond the scope of just.
You just keep going into the stuff you're most mad about first.
Oh,
we're going to talk about this first.
Well, you led me into it.
Go for it. Go for it.
She says to Bruce, okay, not having kids or whatever, not being able to have children, it helps with the killing people. And do you think you're the only monster here? Like, you still think you're the only monster here? What the fuck? All right, look, I'm going to take it the way I take the Russo brothers fucking things up. And I'm going to just, like, I hate the argument of, like, it's just bad writing, so it's not something they would do or say. Nat would say that. And that drives me insane that she actually thinks of herself as a monster for something not even close to being her fault. But she actually does. She just beats her own ass over everything. But with a stoic face, like, you'll never see it. You'll never see that she's beating her own ass. And it's over things that she had no control over. And it's this is what she does. So no, she's never going to prove to herself that she's a good person. She never was going to live. Had she lived, she never would have gotten there. I don't think she was ever going to give herself a break.
I mean, I'll go into it, but that's the reason that she died. So, like,
true.
Part of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's true.
But, I will. Yeah, I have that monster thing on here. It's, I told Rachel last night, what did I say? The only reason that I can get around it and, like, be okay with it is, I can't remember what I said. That she
that she needs to. She needs to.
That she like connects with him in that way. Yeah, she's just like realizes she's the only person that can do it, so she does it. Like, you know, like
that's it.
Yeah,
yeah,
and so
it's the role they fucking give her, though.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That never should have been a storyline. I'm very
not
sorry.
Even going to go into like why the only woman on the Avengers was the one who had to calm down the fucking beast or whatever.
Goddamn ridiculous. But you know what? Marvel did. They did good with Black Widow.
Yes, I liked Black Widow.
There were a lot of topics that were
upcoming spoilers for Black Widow. Sorry, we didn't.
Yeah, and Loki.
Yeah. Now that you've heard of all, I feel like people are more likely to have finished Loki than they would have been to have seen.
And you know what? Didn't it make like 80 million already?
It made I think it was
way more now.
It was like 80 million in theaters and then 60 million in streaming and like 70 million international. So like
wonderful.
240 total.
But they did listen, they touched on a lot of topics that like as women are very important to us. Obviously, reproductive rights. Very clearly also
Yelena did it so well.
She did.
I felt like that was redemption for me. Like, like that bullshit shouldn't have been.
She took it back.
Yeah, she did. She and I was so happy that Natasha responded the way that she did instead of being all like, emo.
It wasn't like you are the fucking reason this happened to me. Like she turned it into a joke for herself. Only you are allowed to do that if you're a victim of something, by the way. Right. So yeah, no, I love that she did that. And it's they talk this is all human trafficking.
Right.
So these are like really big fucking crazy topics that are so important.
Yeah. There's some like super, the line that really got me is, I don't remember the evil guy's name. Evil Russian guy.
Dreykov?
Dreykov sounds right. We're going to call him Dreykov. When he's like, doing his evil villain monologue or whatever. And he's like, so I took advantage of the most valuable resource in the world. And I was like, yeah, you're right, but also fuck you. You
motherfucker.
Yeah.
So they just like props to them for this one. I really enjoyed it. Even the villain of the whole big bad, like it's all redemption. Like it's not. She doesn't end up dying. Like it's even that. Goddamn, like it was so
Taskmaster controversy.
What a man did to his own daughter.
Yeah.
Like just the topics that were touched on here. Very, very important. And it was a pleasure to watch and to see them actually go through with. Like they didn't hold back any goddamn punches with that intro when they're being taken.
Mm-hmm.
That, I cried so goddamn much when it first opened up. And then I'm like laughing 30 minutes later when they're having the family dinner because they killed me. But just what a good movie. So if you didn't like it, I guess fuck off. I don't know.
The podcast.
Because it was so good.
We don't want any constructive criticism on the movie.
I'll hear some shit about Marvel movies, okay? There are a couple that people like really, really love that I'm like, no. Not this one. You're not going to do that with me.
All right, let's get into Natasha. So she right off the bat is stupid loyal. She's the most loyal out of all of them to people that she considers her family. Most of because I considered her like her fake in quotation marks family separate. But biggest one is Clint. Like
okay, yep.
Yeah, when in Civil War when she's on the opposite side of Clint. Clint's on Captain America's side, she's on Tony's side.
Yep.
They're fighting each other in the airport. And she's like, still friends? And he's like, yeah, of course. I'll see you at dinner. Like, it doesn't mean anything to them. They're like, whatever. Right. Like, it's no hard feelings.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. She, when Loki brainwashes Clint, it's like, it's Natasha. It's Natasha's thing that she's going to save Clint. Like, none of the other Avengers know him.
That's her circle.
Him. Yeah. She's going to save Clint. Like, she's going to save Clint from Loki. And we saw the reason for this in Black Widow. The Budapest thing was Clint helping her leave her old life. Like he was the one who I just thought it was such a cute. You know what? We're gonna listen. Clint in the MCU is not the greatest, but Clint is also not Jeremy Renner, and I feel like that has been conflated to a point where people are like, "I hate Clint," and there's no reason to hate Clint that I see. He's just like they haven't made him a super great character, which I'm hoping.
Fucking meme. I'll never forgive the Japanese.
I know. Which I'm hoping that the show will do because comic Clint is an awesome character. Like he's deaf and he has a dog and he trains a woman to take up the mantle for him. So I'm hoping the show will do that.
Listen, but I see you little Marvel stands out there. Wanda and your icon with all of them with your little icons on Twitter and Tumblr and everywhere that you are. They've all fucked up. Okay.
I know, but that's some
pretty fucky shit.
Clint hasn't even done anything. His shitty, awful, stupid actor is the one that is making people.
You got to be able to separate that, my dudes.
Yeah, but anyway, But Natasha loves Clint. And I thought it was so cute when they were in her apartment and Yelena's like, what are these holes in the wall? And Natasha was like, they're arrowhead. I was like, aw. They had a fight here. Or when they like hid in the vents or whatever. And she's like, Clint and I hid out here for like 4 days. And they had like the tic-tac-toe on the wall and all that. I was like, aw. I thought it was very cute. But yeah, she not only loves Clint, she feels like she owes him for that. And she's extremely close to Clint's family. They named their baby after Nat. Like, his name is Nathaniel. And so it's, and Nat jokes with them, like, oh, you're going to name it after me? And they do. Clint is her people. She's very close to him.
And Yelena,
too. Do anything for it. Well, yes, that's coming up. But we didn't know about Yelena. Throughout the movies, it was Clint. Like, Clint is
of course.
Yeah, Clint is who she is here for.
I wouldn't say all of the Avengers are. I'm sorry. And as much as they tried to make Bruce, it doesn't fit. So
yeah, and it's like the same thing. This happened in the movie where she's like, I have to go back to my other family, and it's like the same kind of thing with Steve, where it's like where somebody tells a Slytherin this should be your family, and you're like, okay, so you're like, I feel like we can talk about Natasha's relationship to Steve. I think she was closest to Steve on the Avengers. Obviously, we see in Civil War and in Winter Soldier, she does missions with him. And also Steve is another Slytherin. And it's a Slytherin that Natasha relates extremely hard to because Steve, for whatever reason, thinks he's making up for shit. So Natasha is like, I don't really buy this, but like, same boat. So they like go.
Oh, yeah.
So they're like the exact same. She's teasing him about never having been kissed, and like it's an extremely sibling-like relationship where they know exactly where the other is coming from. They relate very hard. But she is like the one I would say is closest to her family. I think it's more like she feels duty to the I feel like Natasha's whole life is duty. This is what I must do in order to prove to myself that I am good. Shut up. But so she's like, I'm on the Avengers, and that means that they need to stick together. But so she fine, we're talking about people. I'll fucking go to Yelena. Yelena's her person. She will do any. She is fiercely protective of Yelena when she's how old is she? 8 when they get taken away, something like that.
Yelena's 6.
Yelena's 6, so she's like 8 or 9 probably.
She's probably like 10 or something. I think
whatever.
There's more of an age gap.
She pulled a gun on all those men because they tried to grab her 6-year-old little sister. Like, she's fiercely protective of Yelena, and then you see it in like their adult life. Obviously, she like comes back out of nowhere and hasn't known what's been going on, but she immediately takes that up again, that she's here to protect Yelena or whatever. And they do have that conversation where Yelena was like, you never came back for me, or you never wondered what happened to me or whatever. And Natasha straight up is like, this is very Slytherin too. She's like, I thought you were better off without me. And Yelena's like, I think Yelena like you didn't check, like you could have checked and then left me alone or whatever. And here's the thing with Natasha, she's gonna tell herself that Yelena's better off without her, whether or not she is. And then if she never checks on it, she'll never know. So it'll never be, she'll never know that Yelena is better without her, and she'll never know that Yelena is suffering and it's going to be her fault. So
I feel like Sylvie would pull some shit like that.
But yeah, if she had a little sister, I could see that.
Yeah. Those two are pretty similar.
Yeah, they're much closer on the scale than
either
one of them.
Loki's an extremist Slytherin.
Yeah. And then she has like a very complicated relationship with her like fake Russian family and with the Avengers or whatever. With her Russian made up family.
She's not here for the bullshit.
Oh yeah, and when they're sitting all at the dinner table, she like, here's the thing. Rachel and I were talking about this last night too. When she was like, none of it was real to me, and like Yelena is really hurt by that because she was 6 and it was very real to her. And then Natasha comes back later and is like, actually, it was real to me. But I have to keep saying that it's not real to me because logically, Natasha was old enough to understand that this was all fake and that they were on a mission and like this is what was happening and none of it was real. And this is not my mom and this is not my dad and this is not my sister. But her heart fell for it. She loved Yelena and she saw... I forget Melina and the Red Guardian as her parents.
Right.
So she's pissed at herself. And it's why she needs to say, none of it was real to me, because she's trying to convince herself, because logically she knows none of it was actually real. But her heart's like, you love these people. And she's like, they don't love me. It's all fake. Like, shut up. You know?
Right.
And then with the Avengers, we already talked a little bit about the Avengers. I also think it's a little bit that she doesn't think she deserves to be a hero. So she's like, I'm not part of the Avengers family. I'm just like here
She just
because
does
I
the
can.
pose.
Yeah, I just do the pose, and I'm like good at doing some things, but like, I'm not really meant to be here like Steve is, or like I'm just part of the team in that way.
Here to be useful.
Yeah, right. And with both these families, she tries to reject them so that they can't hurt her when they it's very Dean Winchester, but she's not a Gryffindor. It's just that she cares so much about these people that she can't let them realize what she actually is or leave her first. Like, she just has to deny that she cares about them, and then that way it's like a protection or whatever.
Very Sam going to Stanford and pretending.
Yes, there you go.
Pretending that they're not out there killing fucking werewolves and vampires while he's
Slytherin.
taking law classes.
Yeah. And then also, here's the Slytherin. Dean Winchester shows up and is like, Dad's been on a hunting trip and he hasn't been home a few days. Like, you're unable to play out this con. Like, you cannot con yourself forever. It's not possible. So she like ultimately ends the movie feeling responsible for fixing both these families. Like, she gets all her Russian family together, and then she's like, now I'm off to save the Avengers because they fucked up. But we can't keep it up forever. That's why old Loki fucking caused the Nexus event by going back to Thor. He was
oh my god,
tried to convince himself for years and years and eons that he didn't need Thor, and you know what? He did.
Slytherins, you guys need your siblings, huh?
Shut up. Yeah, the people we love. Yeah. That's why you should never love anybody. That's the lesson.
Oh, man, I'm seeing a lot of sibling Slytherin stuff going on here. And I'm bringing it back to Sammy, too. Interesting
insight. I talked to Rachel about this line that she has in the movie. So she's so, like, again, there's 3 separate ways that this has been shown. Loki has like this vague endgame that he's like, whatever one fits the bill is the one that's fine with me. Sylvie's got this very long, I will not move from this. Like, it's going to take a while to get there, but I'm going to go. And Natasha has a series of very short, it's like missions. And they're purely to keep her mind distracted and occupied. She's like, mission. Like, she joined S.H.I.E.L.D. and she's like doing this thing for S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm like, good thing. Like, it's endgame after endgame. Like, she does not stop. She cannot stop. That's what she's doing. That she's purposely doing this. And again, when she's like sitting down and eating with Yelena and they're talking, and Yelena like gets on the subject of boys or whatever, and she's like, what's your type? And Natasha's literally like, I've never let myself stop long enough to think about it. And she's seriously like that. She will not let herself examine herself. And again, it's like Loki and Sylvie, but in a different way. Loki just completely ignores it. And then Sylvie pretends that it's not like, she's like, this isn't important to what I'm trying to do. So it doesn't matter until she's done what she needs to do. And then all of a sudden it's all that matters. And Natasha is like, I know it's there and it's chasing me and I'm not going to stop. I will never stop. I'm just going to keep going. I'm never going to examine myself. Even though it's always there, like in the back of her brain.
You guys are so interesting.
We are. We're fascinating. Should be best friends with all of us.
You're such weirdos. I love it. Like, my brain works so differently than all of that. Everything you just said, all of that.
I can't comprehend.
I can't comprehend you. We were talking about this last night, and I'm like, Lauren, like, I can't. She's like, I fully understand how they're talking to themselves. And, like, she's like, I talk to myself. I'm like, yeah, me too, but it's just me agreeing with myself. I'm not debating. Like, what? I always agree
you
with
have
me.
to fight yourself, or otherwise.
How? You think one thing.
And then you think the opposite thing, and then you debate.
But no, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. You have to have a core opinion on something. Okay, let's say blue is the best color. Okay. You think blue is such a great color. Now, me, in my brain, I like green more. So fuck blue. green is the best, right, Rachel? Yeah, no, green's totally the best one. Like, that's how it would work for me. For you, you're like, let me examine the benefits of blue and green. Why?
Yeah, because then maybe I'll like green better.
Why do you want to change? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, growth. Just pick something. Pick a goddamn lane, stick to it. Like, you don't always need to do that.
If you never think about the benefits of the thing that you refuse to look at, how can you be better?
You make no goddamn sense.
Okay, whatever.
None.
I said earlier.
Continue.
I said earlier that she was self-oriented and she's protecting herself, but she's also proving herself to herself. She's got that line. She's like, I've got red on my ledger and I've got to wipe it clean. That's literally Natasha's life. She did the bad things and now she has to do all of the good things, and she will never do enough good things in order to make up for the bad things. Yeah, that's just her life.
You, she's never. She's had she lived, she never would have gotten there.
And here's what we talk about. So, and Rachel mentioned this earlier. The bad things that she did were not on her. Nope. She was stolen as a child and, traumatized and abused and manipulated. And maybe she didn't have Yelena says it, like she didn't have the gas, but she was trained and she was groomed, like she was emotionally and mentally manipulated. Like she did these things not because she wanted to, but because she had to. So like the things that she did for the Red Room were not her fault, but she still takes all of the responsibility for them. And she repents by joining S.H.I.E.L.D. and by joining the Avengers. And I've got to do all these good things. And then here's where Natasha gets super interesting, right? The one thing that she had control over that got her away from Dracoff in the Red Room is to her the worst thing. And I think it's because she actually recognizes that it was a choice. I can't with Natasha either, because she actually does know that some of it wasn't her choice, but it doesn't matter. She gets punished for all of it. But she gets punished the most for the one that was her choice, which was killing Dracoff's little girl. She's like,
she learns the same lesson at the end of that Bucky has to learn too. They're very similar here.
Yeah.
She has to confront it.
Yeah. But that's what, like, Natasha refuses to differentiate in what she did in order to earn punishment, but she does differentiate in the fact that this was when I was brainwashed, if that's what you want to call it. And this I did of my own volition.
Yeah, she differentiates, but she's still, it all gets spinning in this fucking pot of I'm the worst. I'm Satan.
No, it does. But she does recognize it enough to put so much more like punishment and, and like guilt on the thing that she chose to do or whatever. So Dracoff's, she bombs the little girl. She knows she's in there. She sees her and she bombs in order to stop the Red Room and to kill Dracoff. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's not only Natasha getting away from that life, and it's a thing for herself. She thought she freed all of these other Black Widows all around the world, right?
Right.
So then Yelena shows up and she's like, you didn't do that. And she immediately has to go make sure that it gets done, because that's what she was supposed to do.
Oh, and there's a difference between her and Steve. Steve wouldn't have done it.
I thought it was so fascinating that Yelena was like, I was waiting to see in the news that Captain America and the Black Widow and the Avengers took down the Red Room. And I was like, ooh, why did she call out Steve? I guess he's like the one with the most face, but the writers know,
We were all kind of waiting for Steve, I guess, to stop things that happened,
and he didn't
in the past that he lived through.
Well, you're right. And however, again, gonna pretend Hannah's here listening to us. However, Erica, out of character you want to say it is, it still happened. So
right, we have to work around that argument. We gotta. Canon is canon. All right, what are you gonna do?
I have to think if Natasha had known about it and asked Steve, he would have helped. But you're right in that I don't. It is. Well, no, and here's the thing too, because it was personal to Natasha. So if somebody had come back. I guess they fucking did, didn't they? Clint came back from Vormir and was like, Red Skull's still alive, and Steve was like, that sucks.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, that's...
Anyway, we're gonna just move past that.
Yeah, let's... Hannah, leave it all in.
So yeah, she with Dracov's daughter, so she is Taskmaster. So Nat learns that and immediate is like, can she hear me? If I apologize, will she hear me? Dracov's like, he's like, he's doing his whole villain thing, but she feels the need to directly apologize and to directly repent. And then Rachel and I talked about this too. She lets, I don't remember her name. I'm going to just keep calling her Taskmaster.
Antonia,
that's right.
Antonia.
Yeah. She lets Antonia beat her ass. She's like, You deserve this. Like, I deserve this. Like, you deserve to beat my ass and I deserve punishment. But I'm not going to let you kill me. And that's very Slytherin. You know? Like, I'm not going to die because I'm important.
Did I fuck up? Yeah. Will I die for it? No.
Right. No, you can beat my ass as much as you want, but when like the guns come out and the knives come out, I'm not going to let you kill me. She's so Slytherin in such a different way from Loki. In Civil War, so this is super interesting too. In Civil War, she starts on Tony's side, and this actually made me think more about why she started on Tony's side this movie. Because Tony was for the Accords, right? Nat in Civil War is like, yeah, I think we need some monitoring and I think we need some control. And you take it off the fact that she was at the mission where Wanda blew up the building and she felt guilty for it or whatever. But when you take into account this movie and thinking about how Natasha's like, repentance, it's like, yeah, of course she wants a governing body to be in control. Like, that's the first thing she's going to think. She's going to be like, yeah, I should be on Tony's side. But she does switch to Steve's side. And the reason that she switches is literally because she gets to Steve and Bucky and she again connects with Steve and sees that Bucky is a person for him and he's not going to stop doing and she literally is like, are you going to stop? And Steve is like, no. And she's like, I see that and I believe you and more people are going to die. So I'm going to help you out because you're being stubborn and I know what that looks like. And so I'm just gonna let you go. Yeah, T'Challa shows up and he's like, you fucking let them leave. And she's like, yeah, man, they weren't gonna stop. Like, why? Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking Slytherin.
Mm-hmm. I know, I'm sorry.
Why is there so many of you in the MCU?
I wish I knew, because we're the most interesting.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah.
That's why Thor's your favorite, right?
Yes. I can't wait to do Carol. I love Carol. She seems interesting. Oh my God, where are my notes? Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm reading them out of order because I'm trying to like not just spew everything out. I'm trying to actually have a
spew it conversation. That's fine.
Well, I'm not gonna say it. Like I want things to lead to another thing. There's an awesome line from Lena when Nat is having the conversation with her in the cottage, and she's like, "How did you keep your heart?"
Yes.
And the thing that she had taught her was that Nat's answer is pain makes you stronger. So literally her answer was like, I keep hurting myself.
Yeah.
in order to continue to be good. You know?
Like, the punishment I deserve keeps my heart beating.
Crazy. She's extremely ambitious in her missions. Like you talked about earlier, she's fucking on the phone where she's beating those guys' asses.
Yeah.
Like she's just like, okay, here's the thing, I'm gonna do it, and she sees them all the way through, no matter the cost. Like in the Red Room, she went back like to get the file of all the girls that are all over the world or whatever, and the whole ship's blowing up, and she's like, I'm gonna see this all the way through. Like, doesn't matter what happens, I want to finish it. The Red Guardian says this, but we also knew this. She is the best spy and the best double agent. And to be good at those things, it's all about perception and how people see you or don't see you ever. And, like being able to manipulate. That's the stuff you need to do. Her plan.
That's so interesting that Loki does that physically while she does it mentally.
Yeah. Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah, her plan in Black Widow was very sneaky Slytherin. Like, she just was able to read people in there. And even when Dracov figured out what was going on pretty much right away, totally unfazed. She was like, this is still right on track. When she's fucking laughing at him because she's like, I can't smell you anymore, and like slams her head into the desk.
Yeah. This is something I brought up to Lauren too. The way she does not absolutely freak out in moments that she has every right to just completely break down and freak out. Stone face. Until she can't hold back her laughter at how stupid the other person is. That's the only emotion you get from her. The smirk and the smile and the laughter of just like, you're so dumb.
Yeah.
You're so stupid.
Before she slams her face
Before
into
she
dust.
beats the shit out of you.
Yeah.
She's great. Yeah.
When she snapped her nose back into place, she's like all in a day's work, and I'm like, she doesn't, like totally unfazed. Yeah, I've reached Vormir. I've reached the end. I know this was another point in the MCU where people were upset, and it's partly because everybody hates Clint. And they're like, Clint should have died, and whatever. It's your biases.
She was never have let it. It was never going to go that way.
It was so in character. The way that she did it and what she said, so the whole deal with Vormir is that you have to sacrifice a person that you care about. Clint and Natasha both, I think this is also like very clear proof that he is her person. They care about each other enough for the soul stone to show up if one of them dies or whatever. So here's where Natasha's at. She was not snapped. She sat around for 5 years, unable to do anything. She's like sitting in the compound waiting for Tony to get back, eating a peanut butter sandwich. Steve's going to fucking therapy in Bronx. Like,
hey,
she's
Queens.
Queens. Oh, is it Queens? She has been like unable to do anything. This like constant need. So she's been sitting with her thoughts and also with her failure, right? Like, obviously not stopping Thanos was on not total. I don't think that she's taken on the entire thing, but she's like, I could have done something. So she's been sitting there for 5 years, and then they come up with a plan, and she's like, thank God, something to do that I can do, that we can
finally
do.
useful.
Yes. And
she needs to be useful.
Yes, she needs a mission. She needs something. So they get to Vormir, and Red Skull's like, this is what's up. And they have this whole conversation where she's like, obviously it can't be you. You have a family. You have a family that loves you. Like, I don't have. And this is so sad too, that she obviously had this whole thing with Yelena that we didn't know about at the time. And she, again, is probably circling back to Yelena is better off without me.
She has to be.
Yeah. So she's like, Clint has a family, and she doesn't say a word about it. And the way that she does it too, I didn't actually go back and rewatch, so I may not be remembering exactly right. But I feel like they both did like okay, so you're gonna do it, and then they definitely had a scuffle. Yeah,
yeah, they did.
From Natasha's end, this is what she was doing more than just like trickery or whatever. If she let Clint fight for it, and then he ultimately lost, but he fought to try to have her not to do it, I think she felt like that would take some guilt away from him. She hoped. I think instead of him being like, yeah, sure, you go off the cliff, and she just goes off, and then he would have to live with that. If she's like, if I make him fight me for it, but then obviously I will still win, he should feel less guilt, because I made it very clear that there was nothing that he could have done. I was going off the cliff.
He was always going to hate himself for it, though.
Well, yeah, but she was trying to mitigate that. And like, she literally pulls him back. I think he went over, and she pulled him off and then went over. So she was trying to mitigate that as much as she could, which is very Slytherin. You try to lessen the hurt in your people.
Well, I also think it's very Slytherin also to make that decision in the first place. She was like, absolutely not. You're not trading your life for mine. It's not happening. And it's not even, she knows better. That's right. That's a Slytherin thing.
Yeah. Sure. And like you have said multiple times in this episode that she never would have considered herself good, even if she had lived past Vormir. I truly think that knowing that was part of the reason where she was like, this is where my story ends, because she was like, I'm never going to be good enough. I'm never going to redeem myself to myself. So why don't I do this one last really big, good thing for the world?
Someone I love.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, and so she went off. And I will never forgive that she didn't get a fucking funeral, and that Clint came back and was like, Nat's dead, and everybody was like, that's kind of sad, and then we moved on with our lives. I know we had Thanos to still fight, but fuck you, Russo brothers.
Yeah, but the funeral was the point where they could have rectified that. And they didn't.
It's true. Yelena's
fucked
gonna
up so
Yelena's
goddamn
gonna
much.
rectify that shit.
Now,
She's
Clint,
gonna
it's-
incorrectly go after Clint because Natasha's
Clint
dead.
went with her the first time for that first big mission with Dracov's daughter and everything. He knows about Yelena, right?
He
Or
wouldn't
I
have
don't know
met
if
her.
we're told. Do you think he knows about her? Is my question.
If anybody knows, he does.
He must know she's coming after him.
You think he's waiting for it?
Yeah, I think there'll be a scene where he's like, "Oh, I was waiting for you to," you know. I loved her. I loved Yelena. You know, I read a review where someone was like, hardcore Black Widow fans are going to be so upset because it's kind of an ensemble-y cast there. I mean, it's not, it's focused on Yelena too. The parents are a big thing, whatever.
Yelena was amazing. Florence Pugh was
I
amazing.
haven't seen any of that. I think everyone loved the cast and the characters. I think it was great.
Yeah. I just saw somebody freaking out because IMDb has Yelena down for all 8 episodes of Hawkeye. They were like,
oh yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to sort the shit out of her.
I was just thinking that because Hawkeye's coming out in the fall. I don't know. They need to give us fucking dates so we can
idea.
so we can make space because our year is fairly full.
And we're never taking a break.
We're doing this forever. Anyway. I love that episode.
Have more notes.
No, I'm done. But,
I was gonna say
I loved doing that. This is probably the only. I don't know if it's the only time we might have an all Gryffindor. This was happenstance. We did not do it on purpose. Like we needed to talk about all of these characters.
They came out at the same time.
Yeah, that's why we needed to talk about all of these characters, and we didn't have enough time in the schedule to do, 2 episodes. So it was happenstance, and they're from the same franchise. It's not like we're shoving together, Gossip Girl and New Girl. But oh god. But, so I don't know if we'll ever have an all of the same house episode. I hope we do because this was super interesting. Although we also got extremely lucky that these were all 3 very different Slytherins. If we had all of like the same type of house, it wouldn't have been as fun. And y'all probably would have been bored. I would have been bored. I would have been like,
this is why we have. This is why, like, my brain got the idea for a scale to begin with because I was looking at. I mean, I look through the lens of a Gryffindor always. I'm always like analyzing the Gryffindors first because I'm extremely self-centered too. But I'm looking at like Edward Cullen, Tony Stark,
right?
And I'm like, they're both
Dean Winchester.
Gryffindors.
Like,
yeah, come on, and they're all Gryffindors, but you have to be able to know that people are fucking different, okay? So just because you're courageous and brave, you don't get shoved in Gryffindor. Look at everyone we talked about today. Even Loki's brave too. Okay, so it's just so interesting when you have characters that are the same house but so different. Well, I was just so thrilled by both of these pieces of media, okay? I really liked Loki, and I loved Black Widow. I think of all the shows that they put out, I liked Loki the most, and a lot of the standalone movies that we've seen, like backstories of characters, I really liked Natasha's movie. I think I like it the best. I do. Bold statement, but I feel that way. I just loved it. That's how I feel. Everyone has a favorite.
It's true.
You really like it, but maybe Iron Man. I'll put them next to each other. But then she's in the second one.
She is.
Or the first one?
No.
Shit. I gotta do a rewatch. Again. And skip Endgame.
Anyway.
It's such trash.
Anyway.
It's so bad.
Anyway. Very excited to do the All Slytherin episode. Very excited that they were my people. And I got to go on and on and on. Well, Rachel sat here and listened to me go on and on and on.
No, it was great because Lauren came, of course, she's the Slytherin. So I wanted to hear from the expert.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Like I said, I can't get into that mind. Okay? I can't get out of it.
So there you go.
Exactly. I can't trust you, can't be trusted. Yeah.
Next time, Jen from Community Rewatch is joining us to talk about Mythic Quest. We're doing Ion and Poppy, and is that it? Or are we adding...
Let's do Brad.
You don't want to do...
I want Brad.
The assistant.
I want Brad.
Okay. All right, Jen. It's first you're hearing of it. We're also doing
love
Brad. Yes, we need more of Brad, actually, so we should do Brad. And we guested on Jen's show called Community Rewatch. It came out yesterday, so it will have come out a week ago when this drops. So go check it out. Community Rewatch Pod, I think, is the full name of her show. It's at COMM Rewatch Pod. Is the Twitter handle? I'm making all this up. You can find it. I have faith in you. We retweet her all the time.
It's Com Rewatch Pod, yeah.
Okay, cool. I was right.
It's just the Community Rewatch Podcast. It's a long name. That's why Lauren's tripping up on it.
Yeah.
She'll beat herself up for it later. Don't worry. She's a Slytherin. We've learned.
Yes, but so she's going to be on Talk About Mythic Quest. We're very excited to talk about Mythic Quest. I've rewatched it several times, and I'm going to rewatch it for this because, but yeah.
Volleyball!
But you can listen to our episode on the Community Rewatch Pod because Rachel basically and I do everything but say the name of the house that.
Oh, it was so hard, guys.
Yeah, but you can listen to it and from what we say, try to guess what we're going to put them in. Maybe we'll like do a little poll. I don't know. We keep promising to do polls, like letting you pick the shows, and then we're like, this is our show. So
we're both a little bit of control freaks.
Yeah, so, we will do that eventually when we run out of ideas, or we're like, no,
we're never gonna run out of ideas, and we're never gonna do it. So don't look forward to that.
Oh my god. Anyway, rate us 5 stars after we've just told you have no part in this podcast.
Hey, it's free.
It's true. It is free. We're entertaining. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and join us next time. See ya.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Sort of Brilliant. If our sorting choices inspired any rage or excitement, we'd love to hear from you. We're open to feedback, suggestions for characters to sort, and solid counter-arguments with citations.
Never forget your citations. You can find us hanging out on Twitter and Instagram at SOB_pod, or shoot us an email at sortofbrilliant@gmail.com.
And since we're not above begging, please rate and subscribe to Sort of Brilliant on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Please share our posts on social media. And if you're a Gryffindor, maybe you'll inspire sorting fights among your own friend group.
The theme music is Hot Shot by Scott Holmes. Can't wait to sort with you again next time. Bye!